great. This is supposed to be like, the World Series contender, great Boston Red Sox team. Like, this isn't supposed to be, I mean, I know they're in first place, and I mean, how much more could you ask of the team? But it just feels like they don't have everything that you need to win a World Series. They don't have a great bullpen. They really don't have a second starter. I mean, unless you're going to start Rick Porcello, and David Price is making $31 million a year. So, I mean, I would hope they would start Porcello, but and now this is deeper and farther down the road, but it's stuff that you do have to start to think about.
No, for sure. Like, I mean, the best way I could think of it, like, the past couple of years, they've been a great regular season team. Like, they've been phenomenal in the regular season, in my opinion. Like, they're the Peyton Manning Colts. They get to the postseason, and they're just bad. And
I hate to say this. It feels like they're the modern-day Detroit Tigers. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it feels like. It feels like they're a great team during the regular season. They're going to get to the postseason, and something's going to go wrong. I hope I'm wrong, like I said. But
I was going to say the Cincinnati Bengals, I think, is a good way to put it. And as it stands right now, as I've pointed out before, and I'll probably point out a million times before the month of October, we do not have a starting pitcher who has a win in the postseason as a starting pitcher yet, unless a move ends up getting made. And, I mean, Chris Sale's your game one starter. If we have the luxury of having it that way, I guess we would have to win the division, because if not, he's pitching the wild card game. But if we do win the division, he's your game one starter. I guess Porcello is number two. Maybe Erod goes on a disgusting run and makes a case for it. Maybe Stephen Wright comes back and the knee holds up and he's just absolutely lights out. I mean, let's not forget about him. But I think we can rule out Pomeranz at this point. And we know Price hopefully will not be put in a high leverage situation. And he's, as we said, he has to go to the bullpen, or he's your game four starter on an extremely short leash. But let's just talk about him real quick. Wasn't sharp. He wasn't as god-awful as he was in his previous start at Yankee Stadium, but he did hit three guys in one inning.
Yeah, and walked in a run. So, I mean, it's perfectly reasonable to suggest that his mind is not in a healthy place right now. No, it can't be. I mean, especially when you go out there, whenever you're hitting people, your mind can't be in the right spot. Like, he had no control. And, Dave and I were texting back and forth throughout the game. He shook off Vazquez every single at bat, like, more than twice. So here's my thing. If Chris Sale trusts Christian Vazquez and Sandy Leon enough, then you probably should too, because it's working for Chris. And it was just like every single pitch he was shaking off Christian. It was ridiculous. It really ticked me off, actually.
That's a good catch, because in a good observation, it seems like he just doesn't have the confidence in certain pitches. I mean, you can rule out health problems because they put him through the gauntlet when they had to fly him out of town. They made it a point to take every single excuse he could possibly make off the table and had test results to back it up. So I don't think it's a health issue with him, a physical health issue. It might be a mental health issue, but...
Well, I think the stat was that he threw 3 changeups in 60 pitches.
Wow.
Why is that a thing? Like, I think he threw 40 fastballs. It's
out of 60.
Driving me nuts.
So what was the third pitch?
I'm not sure.
Oh, the cutter, probably.
Was it the cutter?
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Oh, he loves his cutter.
Yeah. He thinks it's the best thing ever.
Yeah. So
I hate that pitch. I wish that never existed. Honestly.
I wish he had like more confidence in his curveball than anything else, because he doesn't ever throw it. He throws it like 3 times a game.
Right. Yeah.
He used to throw it a lot more.
Yeah.
So 2/3 of his pitches were fastballs. Then 66%.
It's probably more than that. It's crazy.
Yeah. So hang on. So he's not going to be pitching against Texas. So
he'll pitch in Toronto.
That's Toronto,
where he loves to pitch.
Yeah, so that'll be a great test then, because is that at Toronto?
I don't know. I'm checking right now.
Yeah, because he is.
I think it is.
Pitch.
No, no, it's home.
Okay.
Because they don't go back away until after the All-Star break.
He pitches extremely well at the Rogers Center. So, but
send him back.
Yeah, no wonder he almost won a Cy Young. There, I think he was second or third that year in the voting.
I think he was second.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, that was the year Keuchel won it. Okay, so that would be a good test for him, regardless of where he's pitching. He typically does well against Toronto, so that will have to bear watching. But I mean, he's definitely not helping his case for the month of October, and not helping his long-term standing beyond this year either.
Definitely not.
I don't think he's gaining any fans. Let's put it that way.
Tyler, you go to a lot of Sox games. How many David Price shirts do you see walking around Fenway?
It used to be a lot more than it is now. Now I think it's a lot more Mookie and Benintendi. You see a lot of Sale. You see a little bit of Kimbrel too. I feel like a lot of people like those guys a lot more than David Price. And I mean, you still do see people that spent $250 on a David Price jersey, and you're like, well, yeah, I don't really like the guy, but I like the jersey, so I'm going to wear the jersey. Yeah, I mean, that would be my answer to that.
Manny wore number 24, and he was polarizing, so...
Yeah, maybe it's just the number.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that number, here's the other thing. That number should be retired between Dwight Evans and fucking Manny Ramirez. Like, I don't understand what the Red Sox organization, it feels like they pushed Manny out the door.
Well, then the fact that you're right. The fact that Dwight's number is not retired is ridiculous on itself.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
You guys want to hear a funny story? I don't know if I've told this before. I've told it to so many people, that's why I can't remember. But I used to work at a hotel, okay, and I was the bellboy, which was actually a really fun job. And I worked second shift, and this middle-aged married couple, came in and wanted help with their bags and whatnot, and that's my job. So I'm helping them, and the guy's like in his early 50s. Wife is probably early to mid 40s, extremely attractive, and I'm just kind of making small talk, this and that, and I'm getting the bell card across the lobby. I get in the elevator with them, and as the elevator door is closing, I see the guy at the front desk looking at me with this furious look on his face. And you guys have seen me on Twitter. I'm a little off the cuff. People get upset.
Yeah.
People get upset, and that happens. That happens in real life. So I'm like, geez, what the hell's his problem? It could be anything with me. So I'm like, we get up to their room. I get them all situated, and then tell them to enjoy their stay. Come find me if you need anything. I get down to the desk, and I'm like, dude, what is your problem? And he grabs me by my jacket and starts, shaking me back and forth. And he goes, do you have any idea as to who that was? And I was like, no. Who was it? And he goes, that was Dwight Evans. Right fielder for the Boston Red Sox. And I was like, ew. I wasn't as good with my history, back then. So, which is probably still no excuse whatsoever. But I helped Dwight Evans with his bags and had no fucking clue who he was.
That's funny.
Probably because he has an attractive wife, but yeah.
It threw you off.
Yeah, and he was very quiet and unassuming, and just I don't know. And the why he was there was the Sea Dogs, the AA team, have this holiday dinner every year, and Ryan Kalish was there. I knew who he was. A couple other minor leaguers, I don't even remember, but yeah, so that event was going on, and he was there to kind of speak at it and whatnot. But
that's funny.
As we were saying,
I'll be up in Maine pretty soon, actually.
Yeah, whereabouts?
Old Orchard Beach.
Old Orchard Beach, yeah, that's probably about an hour south of me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But whatever. Shoot me a text when you're going to be down there. I might be able to.
I will. It's Red Sox Yankees, so I'll probably be going out to watch the games and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Is that
August 2nd or something like that? Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I could. Like I said, it's about an hour south. I'm in Lewiston, which is like the biggest. It's the shithole capital of Maine.
I played hockey there, actually, believe it or not.
At the Coliseum.
Coliseum.
Yeah. That's where Muhammad Ali fought Sonny Liston.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of that's the biggest, local sporting event, this town's ever had. Liston took the dive because he thought there were going to be snipers in the crowd to shoot Ali, and he didn't want to get in the way of the bullet. That was one of the theories anyway. But yeah, cool. So, anyway, we were kind of talking about how number 24 was a little bit ominous. And it is kind of crazy that they haven't retired Manny's number yet because, they retired Wade Boggs' number. So,
exactly.
It just has to be the steroids and how self-conscious they are about that image.
Yeah.
You know what I say to that? The ownership wasn't saying anything when, they were shoving their pockets because of these players. Now, I have no idea who was using it and who wasn't. And, I'm not going to say he or, whoever used it. But they were shoving their pockets and they didn't say anything. They didn't say anything about drug testing. They didn't say anything. And then, obviously, finally they did in 2004. They passed it. But, they weren't saying anything when they were making all kinds of money off of these players.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's sports.
I just think there's a bigger stigma now, and he didn't leave the league, as graciously as he could. He had he had that weird stint in Chicago with the White Sox, and then he had was the domestic violence assault thing, was that before or after the steroids? I want to say it was before.
Yeah.
It was before.
Yeah, and then
he had his weird stint in Japan.
Yeah.
He's still playing over there, is he not?
Yeah.
He might be.
Or Thailand, I think. Or something.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's one of those Southeast Asian countries anyway. And, so I don't know. It's just, it is kind of weird that his number isn't retired, but whatever.
Well, Wade Boggs' number is up there, so Manny's number should be up there, and Clemens as well.
Yeah, Rogers, that's the one that always gets me, the fact that Rogers isn't up there.
I'm not a Clemens guy, but I see what you're saying. He won 4 Cy Youngs with us?
Yep.
Something like that. Yeah. So.
Had pretty much most of the pitching records until Pedro got here.
Right. I am a Pedro guy, though. I love Pedro.
It's hard not to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's the way he would throw at guys, and he's just this little dude, smaller than Buchholz even.
Probably has the best All-Star game moment ever.
Oh, when he's
striking out the side.
Yeah, with 2 of them being Sosa and McGuire, I believe. Yeah, that was awesome. That's one of my
Walker.
Earliest Pedro memories. Really was that game at Fenway, and I think
99 All-Star.
Yeah, Kevin Costner was the one who I think introduced all the players or whatnot. So, which was kind of...
I was 3 in '99.